So children, we have completed the lesson on the coastal plains and the coastal lines and islands of our country. And as we have completed that, now it is time for us to do with the exercise, right? Okay. So the first one is fill in the blanks. So in this section here, we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 sentences are there. And every sentence has got a blank each in that. 5 sentences are there. And every sentence has got a blank each, right? So what we need to do now is we need to read these sentences one by one, right? We need to read these sentences one by one and then fill the blanks based on what we have learned in the lesson, right? So we need to read these sentences one by one and fill these blanks based on what we have learned, okay? So the first one is the coastal line of our country is about a dash kilometers long. So we have studied that the coastal line starts at Ran of Kutch, region of Gujarat, and ends at the edge of Sundarbans in West Bengal, isn't it? So it is covering all the distance and it's around 6,000 kilometers. Approximately 6,000 kilometers is what we have studied. So what we can write, the coastal line of our country is about 6,000 kilometers, right? Okay. Second, the dash coastal plain is wider. So there are two coastal plains, one on the eastern side and one on the western side. On the eastern side, it is between Eastern Ghats and the Bay of Bengal. And on the western side, it was between Western Ghats and the Arabian Sea. So out of these two, one is narrow, one is wider. Which one was wider? The eastern one was wider, isn't it? The plain in between the Eastern Ghats and the Bay of Bengal is wider, right? So what should we write there? The eastern coastal plain is wider. Which one is wider? The eastern coastal plain is wider, right? Now, third one, Dash is the capital of the Lakshadweep Islands. A group of something around the 36 islands that looks like a group of scattered islands in the Arabian Sea is known as the Lakshadweep Islands, isn't it? Yes. What is the capital of Lakshadweep? Kavaratti. The island called Kavaratti is the capital of Lakshadweep. Now, Malabar coast is bigger than which coast? Konkan coast, isn't it? Malabar coast is bigger than a Konkan coast. Because of both these and along with the Gujarat coast are the three coastal regions in the western coastal line. Coastline has a dash weather all the year. We have already seen it through because of this sea breeze and land breeze. It's a steady climate. What kind of a climate is seen on the coastline? Steady weather is seen all throughout the year. So shall we check with the answers? The coastal line of our country is about 6,000 kilometers long. The eastern coastal plain is wider. Kavaratti is the capital of the Lakshadweep Islands. The Malabar coast is bigger than the Konkan coast. Coastline has a steady weather all the year, right? So now I will keep the screen the same for another minute so that you can have a good look at the sentences, right? Write T for true and F for false. So 6 sentences are given there. We need to read these sentences and check whether they agree with what we have learned in the lesson. Sometimes what happens is they will give us a wrong information in the sentence. So in case if they do not match with what we have learned or it's against what we have learned in the lesson, then those sentences we need to mark as a false one. If the sentences here agree the same with what we have learned in the lesson, then that is a true statement. If it doesn't agree or if it is opposite or against what we have learned in the lesson, then we have to mark that as a false one, right? Okay. So the lagoons of the Malabar coast are very famous. So Malabar coast is very famous for the lagoons. They are known as the backwaters. Tourists will usually prefer this area. So we have seen all these kinds of things, isn't it, in the lesson? So lagoons on the Malabar coast are very famous is a true statement. Right? So it's a true statement. The Konkan coast stretches from the Bay of Bengal to Goa. Bay of Bengal is on the eastern side of India, isn't it? Bay of Bengal is on the eastern side of India and the Konkan coast is on the western side of India. So the southern point of Konkan coast is Goa, and what about the northern one? Yeah, it's the Gulf of Kambat, isn't it? Now the armpit fold of Indian map. The Gulf of Kambat to Goa, right? So again, the sentence is a wrong one. It's a false statement. The coastal plain between Kanyakumari and Chennai is called the Northern Circles. Northern Circles are on the northern side, isn't it? Huh? The coastal area, the coastal plain between yes, Sundarban Delta up to Machilipatnam, more to the north of River Krishna is called the Northern Circles. And the coastal plain between Kanyakumari and Chennai is known as a Coromandel Coast. Isn't it? Yes. So again the answer is a false one. The Coromandel Coast receives a minimum rain during the winter. It's during the winter. No, Bay of Bengal has very good number of depressions. Some storms are marked during that time, isn't it? Yes. So is it possible to have a very less rain during that time? No. No. Especially the Coromandel Coast receives the maximum rain during that time, isn't it? So again, that also is a false statement. Next one. The Lakshadweep Islands are in the Arabian Sea. Yeah. They are in the Arabian Sea. The islands in the Bay of Bengal is known as the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Right? Okay. The land in the Lakshadweep Islands is hilly. Lakshadweep is hilly, isn't it? Andaman and Nicobar Islands are actually hilly, whereas the Lakshadweep are of coral-made islands, isn't it? Lakshadweep are of coral-made. So the lagoons of Malabar coast is very famous as a true statement. The Konkan coast stretches from the Bay of Bengal to Goa is a wrong statement because the Bay of Bengal is on the east, Konkan coast is on the west. So it is from the Gulf of Kambat to Goa. The coastal plain between Kanyakumari and Chennai is called the Northern Circles. Again is a wrong answer because that is a Coromandel coast. The Coromandel coast receives a minimum rain during the winter is again a wrong statement because it rains at its maximum in the winter season. The Lakshadweep Islands are in the Arabian Sea is a true statement, and the land in the Lakshadweep Islands are hilly is a wrong statement because hilly are the land area in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, whereas Lakshadweep it's more of a coral origin. Alright? We will check the answers once, okay? Yes. The lagoons of Malabar coast are very famous as a true statement. The Konkan coast stretches from the Bay of Bengal to Goa is a false statement. The coastal plain between Kanyakumari and Chennai is called the Northern Circles, a false statement. The Coromandel coast receives a minimum rainfall during the winter season is a false statement. Lakshadweep Islands are in Arabian Sea is a true statement, and the land in Lakshadweep Islands are hilly is a false statement. Now, I'll keep the screen the same for another minute so that you can read these sentences once again before we go on to the next one, right? Name the following. So, 7 descriptions are given here and we need to identify the item which it describes, right? A piece of land surrounded by water on 3 sides is known as a peninsular region, isn't it? A peninsula is a piece of land surrounded by water on 3 sides, and if it is on 4 sides, that becomes an island, right? The area known as the rice bowl of India. Which area of India is known as the rice bowl of India? The Northern Circles is known as the rice bowl of India. The area that receives the maximum rainfall in winter is the Coromandel coast, right? The cities famous for pearl fishing are Kodallur is one and Tuticorin is another one. Okay, so the cities or the port areas, coastal areas which are famous for yes, pearl farming, pearl fishing is one is Kodallur and the other is Tuticorin. Then earlier these islands were famous as Kalapani, Andaman and Nicobar Islands. That was used by the British people for imprisonments. The state known as the land of coconuts. Which state is known as the land of coconuts? Kerala is known as the land of coconuts. The city famous as the Queen of Arabian Sea is? Which city is famous as the Queen of Arabian Sea? Yes, Kochi is famous as the Queen of Arabian Sea. So a piece of land is surrounded by water on three sides is a peninsula. The area known as the rice bowl of India is the northern circles. The area that receives maximum rainfall in winter is the Coromandel coast. The city famous for pearl fishing is Kodallur and Tuticorin. Earlier, these islands were famous as Kalapani, it's Andaman Nicobar Islands. The state known as the land of coconuts is Kerala. And the city famous as the Queen of Arabian Sea is Kochi. Right? So before we go on to the next question, we will check the answers once. Right? Yes. A piece of land is surrounded by water on three sides is a peninsula. The area known as the rice bowl of India is the northern circles. The area that receives the maximum rainfall in winter is the Coromandel coast. The city is famous for pearl fishing are Kodallur and Tuticorin. Earlier, these islands were famous as the Kalapani, Andaman and Nicobar Islands. The state known as the land of coconuts is Kerala. And the city famous as the Queen of Arabian Sea is Kochi. Right? So now, I will keep the screen the same for another minute so that yes, you can have a look at both the sentences and the answers. Right?